turned back a while, letting this truth dismiss. With all my heart I beg you, I cried, or I'll sit down with you as you like best, if you there will permit, for he's my guide. Oh, son, said he, should one of our lot rest 1 second, 100 years he must lie in it low. Nor even be the flames back from his breast, therefore go on, I at thy service will go. And then rejoin my household who thus raised forever lost, and weeping for their woe. I durst not venture from the road to pace, beside him so I walked with down bent head, like some devout soul in a holy place. He thus began, what chance or fate has led thy footsteps here before thy final day, and who is this that guides thee? So I said, up in the sunlit life I lost my way, in a dark vale before my years had come to their full number. Only yesterday at morn I turned my back upon its gloom. This other came, found me returning there, stopped me, and by this path now leads me home. He made answer, follow thy star, thou canst not fail to join the glorious haven, if in glad my judgment did not err. Had I not died so soon, I would have given counsel and aid to cheer thee in thy word, seeing how favored thou hast been by heaven. But that ungrateful, that malignant foe, which formerly came down from your soul, and still is granted mountain and hewn rock, for thy good deeds will be thine enemy, with cause for where the better slows are rooted, is no fit organ for the sweet victory.
Thank you. Appreciate you reading all that. All right, so we have to explain this. This is the Sodomites, and they are being burned like everybody in this part of hell. All three rings are being burned by the sand and by the flames coming down from the sky, and not the sky, from above. So they are being burned. And he is Dante's tutor. So Dante likes him. He was a good teacher for him. But as you know, because of his being here, he is one of the Sodomites. So his punishment, in addition to the sand and the falling fire, is running. So they're going to be running constantly. He even says, can I stop? Dante says, can I stop and talk to you? And he said, no, I can't. If you do that, then they'll add punishment to it. So I think that, if you notice, he had to bend down to look at his face, which suggests that he's bending over. Well, his head's bending over, like this. So he's running like this, looking at his body, looking at the thing which he sinned against. Now, the Capenius is looking at God. He sinned directly against God. Bruno Latini sinned against God's nature, or the nature of man, by looking at his body. It's that sin, the sexual sin that he committed, is really against his body as well as God. And so he's being punished. And by the way, where in the Bible, Old Testament, do you see fire from heaven? I only know one place.
Burning bush.
Fire from heaven, like down.
Was it like Elijah, and it was like going up to heaven?
Well, he was on a fire, a chariot that was burning. Again,
Oh, what was it? When Moses was walking through the place and the fire guided him at night?
well, you got fire in all those cases, but the specific thing that's happening here is the fire is coming down, like a hail fire. Yeah.
Wasn't like that place, like God was like mad at them, so he like burned like the city or something?
Well, yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, remember they're sodomites. It tells you exactly what they are. So that's why this whole section, they're being punished in that way. Let's just read a little more. We're reading beyond what they read, but why don't we go to Aiden? Would you read top of page 164? We'll read to the next page. That still gives us plenty of time. For thy good deeds. He read this, but I want you to read it again.
Okay. For thy good deeds will be thine enemy, with cause for their bitter the soul. Where the bitter souls are rooted, is no fit or church for the sweet fig tree.
So he doesn't use the word exile there, but he is predicting that Dante, when he goes back to the surface, will be punished. And the punishment comes in the form of exile. Keep reading.
A blind people and always so reputed, proud, envious, covetous, since times remote, cleanse off thy customs, lest thou be polluted. Fortune has honors for thee of such note, both sides will seek to snatch thee and devour. But yet the good grass shall escape the goat. Let thistles, wild beasts scratch up their sour litter themselves from their rank native weed, nor touch the plant if any such can flower. Upon their midden, and such whose sacred seed survives the Roman line left there to be dwell, when this huge nest of vice began to breed. I answered him, I have had my will, believe me, you've not yet been thrust apart from human life, for I keep with me still, stamped on my mind and now stabbing my heart, the dear,
benign.
paternal image of you, you living, you hourly teaching me the art, by which men grow immortal. Notice too, I'm so grateful that, while I breathe air, my tongue shall speak the things which are your due.
You notice how respectful he is toward Brunetto Latini? He really blesses him because he's giving him credit for his own success. You're the reason why I became who I am, a great writer, and he gives him credit. So it's only now toward the end that he will mention the particular sin of which he's guilty. So, Carter, would you read it? It'd be your words.
Your words about my future all right there, with other texts to show to a wise lady who blocks them if I ever get to her. This much I have to know. I can stand steady, so conscience try not, facing unafraid whatever fortune brings, for I am ready. Time and again I've heard these forecasts made. The winds of luck that shall find me
Undeterred, yeah.
undeterred. So let her fly, for patrol has faith. And when my master's ear had caught that word, he turned right faced about, and looked me straight in the eyes and said, well heeded is well heard. Yet nonetheless I move on in debate with Sir Brunetto, asking him whose fame in all his band is widest and most great. Some he replies, it will be well known name. The rest we must pass over for sheer dearth of time. 'Twould take too long to mention them. All these in brief were clerks and men of worth, in letters and scholarship, none more so, and all defiled by one same tame honor. In that sad throng those Francis of Corso and Christian, could thy hunger have been sated by such scabbled meat, thou mightest have seen also him whom the servant of servants once translated from Arno and Bacchylogina, where he left the body he'd unstrung and
Underline that. That's sort of, again, one of the few references to the actual sin that they're guilty of. The body he'd unstrung and uninnervated. There are certain consequences to that sin on your own body. That's why, again, this is a part of violence against, kind of like violence against self, like killing yourself. A lot of sins, they come back on you. The sin itself become, like if, I don't know, I mean, you think of smoking, that hurts you, and drugs eventually hurt you. They don't help you, they hurt you. They might start out helping you. And so this is the same way. You want to finish it?
I would say more, but must not, for a drift of fresh dust rising from the sandy ground warns me to cease and make my going swift. Here come some folk with whom I may be found. Keep handy my thesaurus where I yet live on, and I ask no more. Then he turned around and seemed like one of those who over the flat and open course in the fields beside the run for the green cloth, and he seemed at that, not like a loser, but the winning.
All right, so that's about all we need to look at there. Look at the questions. Yeah.
I just have a question. So
Yeah.
I know at the beginning of each chapter, there's the story part.
Yeah.
But after the chapters where it says notes, do you
Yeah.
think that would help too?
Oh,
at the end of the
absolutely.
chapter?
Yeah, I've talked about that. That's where all my knowledge of this book comes from, is from from Dorothy Sayers, so yeah, that would be extremely helpful. Um, Anyway, so why don't we go back to the sheet? I was just looking at the questions. Look at question 58. What event in Dante's life might be foreshadowed? It's his exile. You go ahead and put that down. What does Brunetto seek when he says, keep handing my thesaurus where I yet live on? What's he really want? It's what all the people in hell want. They're going to be in hell forever.
To go back to
What not? They can't do that. They're never leaving hell. It's eternal. It's unmoving. No second chances. The minute you close your eyes and dead, everything's set. I guess up to that moment, you close your eyes in death. Anything could happen. You could become a believer, but once you've died, there's no second chances.
What was the guy's sin?
It was sodomy. He's a homosexual, and so it's the sin of homosexuality. Let's see, that's 59. Oh, we didn't answer 59. It says, everybody in hell wants to be remembered. The one request, it's the only request they could have, because they can't leave hell. So remind people on earth of me, of my name.
Didn't the guy who wanted that say that too?
Yeah, there's several people who have said that, yeah. Why might Virgil say of the sinners in the third ring of the seventh, that to these the utmost courtesy is due? Where is that? 168. Oh, we're not gonna read that. So we're stopping right there. 58 looks like it'll be the last question that we'll answer. And remember, there are 100 questions, so that's at least half.
That's a lot of questions.
All right, so let's turn back to your review sheet. We were working on the characters, and I don't know where we got to. Maybe Cerberus. Did we get that far? Did we get further?
We got to Cerberus.
All right. So what we're doing is just kind of reviewing these names. After Cerberus is Chaco the Florentine. Anybody remember anything about him?
Is he the king of the city of
Chaco Taco.
No. Chaco is in the third circle of the overeaters. What do we call that?
Lustful.
Gluttons. All right, his name means pig, which was a reference to his overeating. And that's all you really need to know, except he does talk about Florence. I think he's from Florence. He does talk about Florence, gives us a little insight as to what's going on there.
Wait, when did we get this?
2 days ago, yes.
For the 9 circles and one, do you want us to write what the punishments are that they have to have?
Yes, you need to know the 9 circles. There are a lot of things I'm not going to ask you. There's so much more here that we haven't been able to get to, but I do want you to know all 9, that you could list them in order. And we need to know what the punishment is and what the sin is. And ultimately, I would like for you to know why the sin fits the punishment. That question will be on the exam. It'll be one of the 4 review questions.
Bless you.
I'll try to put it on this test, because that's one of the most important things we can take out of this, is how Dante created these punishments for a sin that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Are we gonna need to know all 10 of the boundaries
Where are you?
It says on the study guide to know the fraud of the simpleton Boges.
No, you're not gonna need to know individually what those Boges are. You just need to know that the 8th circle, the circle of what?
Simple fraud.
That's contained or subdivided into 10 subdivisions we call Boges or trenches. You just need to know that. You don't need to know what they are. Yes.
Did the 9 circles start with, like when we tell you the circles, do we have to start with, what is it?
Limbo.
Start
starts with limbo, it doesn't start with the vestibule?
That's correct,
Okay.
because the vestibule is not considered one of the circles. It is circular, but it's not in hell. It's in the vestibule of hell. Yeah.
Is there stuff on here that we haven't read yet?
If the only thing I think I'm gonna include is, I'm gonna tell you about the last circle. And the last circle has 4 sections. I think you should know that, even though we're not going to read, we are gonna read it. We're gonna read it after the test. Yeah.
Who is, Francesca?
All right, so I want everybody to get their review sheets out. I just don't, I know it seems like, wow, only a few people are here, but why should that matter? So please get your review sheet out. Yeah, Libby.
Francesca was the girl in the circle of the lustful, and she cheated on her husband with his brother, and then her husband ended up killing her and his brother.
And her husband's name is right next to their name on the sheet.
So her husband was Caleb? No, it was Caleb, right?
The brother.
Oh, was it?
Of her husband, her boyfriend.
Did her husband go to a different circle?
Yeah.
because she.
Circle 9.
Murder or betrayal?
Complex fraud?
What?
Complex fraud?
I'm sorry.
Complex fraud?
Yeah.
Complex fraud, because he killed a kinsman. So I think it's the first circle of the 4th, I mean, they're regions. The last circle is divided into 4 regions. You need to know what those regions are, and I think I'm in the right order. The first one is betrayal of kin, K-I-N, that means somebody in your family. The second one is betrayal, I'm pretty sure I've got this right, the order, we'll go with it. The second one is betrayal of a guest.
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, no, I didn't, you're right.
Political.
Yeah, the second one is betrayal of country. The third one is the betrayal of guests, and the fourth one, betrayal of their lords. Kindred, country, guests, and lords. They also have names. I don't know if I'm gonna ask you to know those, but I'll give you the names. The names are Cana, Antenora, Ptolemea, and Judica. And I don't think I'm gonna ask you that. I don't even think I listed them here. Yeah, I did. They're on your review sheet. So you have them. Learn them. I may not ask you what they are, but each one of them has a name. For instance, Canaan. Cana is named after who? Take the A off.
Cain.
What did he do?
Goes brother first.
Which is,
murder.
which is that circle, the killing of a kindred or betrayal of a kinsman. The other two I'm not as familiar with. Of course, Judeca is Judas, the betrayal of the Lord. I don't remember the other two right off the top of my head.
What's the third name again?
Ptolemy.
Ptolemy, Ptolemea, but I don't think you need to know that. Don't know it. I'm just telling you don't need it. Carter. So we were looking through that list. We were doing Chaco. How about Filippo Argenti? Libby, I know.
He predicted Dante's exile. Or was he? He was one of his friends.
Yeah, he knew him. He sure did, Carter.
Wasn't he the one that was in the river, Styx?
Yes,
And he like grabbed onto their boat?
that's right. And he was the one that Dante was rude to, and Virgil complimented him for being rude. Anybody want to explain why? Do you want to explain why?
Oh, I can do that too, but was Farinata the one who predicted the exile?
Actually, Bruno Latini did, but yeah, I think Farinata
It was
did
the guy in
too.
the tomb, right? That could.
Yeah, there was a heretic who also.
That was him. That was Farinata, yeah. You're right.
And he complimented him because it showed resentment of sin in general,
Yeah,
and like Dante's supposed to hate sin and not feel empathy for it.
yeah, and so are we. That's the neat thing about the book. The book is an allegory, which means it's about Dante going through hell, but it's also about, for us, all of us, dealing with hell, dealing with sin, and how should we treat it. We're capable of all of these, all 24. Believe it or not, you're capable of it. Because you had good parents and you went to a Christian school, you're probably not going to do most of those things. I doubt if you're ever going to kill a man. But you could. And it's when you realize you could, that's when it's a point of maturity. Like, if it weren't for my parents and the fact that, my dad wasn't in prison for killing somebody, just think of, if that's your legacy, you might be tempted to do it. So that's what I'm saying is, don't leave yourself out of this. Dante kind of represents us. As he looks at these sins, we must look at them as potential sins of our own. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
But for these people, do we have to know what sins they do?
The group we're in right now?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember not going to ask everything about it, but yes. So we are at Filippo Argente. We did that. The Heavenly Messenger, you know him, right? The angel. The Furies, they're associated with the city of Dis. That's where Dante and Virgil see them. You remember? You don't need to remember their names, but what do you know about them? Yeah.
Guard at the gate.
Oh, I just had a question.
All right, let's finish this. Yeah.
They like guard the gate.
Well, they did, but they also tried to lure Dante into looking at Medusa. And so they are avenging deities and goddesses. That's the only encounter we have with them. And then that includes Medusa. Now, the harpies are associated with the wood of suicide. You remember why?
Because they represent destruction.
Yes, they are tormenting the trees. They're grabbing them with their beak and breaking their limbs, all of which causes pain. And rather than me finishing this list, maybe I should just ask you again, we're kind of moving around, but I don't want to give you things you don't need to know. I mean, you need to know, but you already know. So let me pause and let you ask a few questions, and we can cover the ones you want to know.
There's not two different Medusas.
The second one's misspelled,
Okay.
and I don't know why I put it in there. I'd have been well enough to leave it alone. I got it right the first time. Why did I have to do it a second time and get it wrong? I don't know. Yeah, Carter.
At the bottom of that section thing, when it says what the following refer to, we just have to know the definitions.
Spenders spent, like they overspent money.
Where are you?
At the very bottom.
Yeah.
Three.
Oh, of 3. Explain the sins and why each punishment is appropriate. Not that one.
No, it's the know what the following.
Oh.
Like spenders.
Oh, okay. Spendthrifts. Yeah, know what they mean. Like, yeah, you're right. Sodomy, usury, wrathful, heresy. Now, panderers, seducers, and sorcerers, we're not going to do because we didn't study that part. Those are great words that'd be worth knowing, but we're not going to be able to do that. Do you know what it means to pander?
It's begging. It's begging. Like, it's like tricking someone into giving you something that you don't really need.
You're on the right track.
Yeah, I was gonna kinda say that, but is it just kinda like roaming around, like asking?
Let me give you an example. It's often associated with politicians. So if a politician goes to a group of teachers, the politician's going to tell the teacher exactly what they want to hear. We're going to raise your salaries. We're going to make schools better. We're going to make it safer. Then they go to the firemen. We're going to make fire stations safer. We're going to work on your training. Then you go to guys in a plumbing union. You say, we're going to make sure you have all that you need. You basically, a panderer basically gives you what you want. I'm the panderer, you're the panderee, and if I'm pandering to you, I'm going to give you what you want in order to get something out of the relationship. The politician wants your vote, so he's going to tell you, he's going to give you what you want. There are famous panderers in literature. You could argue, this sounds crazy, I'd say this, but it's the one I'm thinking of. there are these two lovers, one's Greek, I think one's one of the Trojan women, and they're in love with each other, and this person manages to bring them together, and in doing so, he causes them both to die. Sounds a little bit like Romeo and Juliet, but that's pandering. The people like the pimps and the pimps are the panderers. They give you what you want, although what you want is not good for you. Like the drug dealer is the panderer. You want drugs? This guy can give it to you because he's making money off of it. He's giving you what you want. He's allowing you to sin. He's helping you to sin. That's pandering. Yeah.
What are the three like animals again? The lion, wolf, and the bear.
Yep. Can I read something? You just happen to bring it up, and I happen to know exactly where it is. This is from the book of Jeremiah. Therefore a lion from the forest shall strike them down. A wolf from the desert shall devastate them. A leopard is watching their city. So even the choice of a lion, a leopard, and a wolf is biblical. You know, he didn't just make it, just three animals will do. It doesn't matter which animals. No, he had a specific reason. The Bible talks about those three in several places. So he was highly educated. That's how he knew all this. Yeah. Make it quick. Yeah, Carter.
What do you mean when you say like the leopard and then the four circles?
One more time.
What do you mean when you say like the leopard, four circles?
Yeah. All right. So the sins of the leopard are what?
Incompetent or incontinent? I don't know.
Incontinence. You remember what the word means? You cannot control certain bodily functions. In this case, it means desires. What are those desires in the book? The desires are lust, eating, spending, and hoarding, and anger. Those four things. And so each one represents one of the circles, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those are the sins of incontinence represented by the leopard. Now what is the sin of the lion?
Violence, simple trials.
Right. Which circle is that?
7, 8, 9.
Just 7. But 7 is divided into 3 parts. And then you have the sins of, what is the sin of the wolf? That's normally you would think that, but here it's not the sin of pride so much as the sin of deception. Remember fraud? 8 and 9 are the sins of the wolf, the sins of fraud. Fraud is deceit and trickery. So they don't really punish pride separately here in this version. So that's what that means. The leopard, the violence, and the fraud. By the way, remember that the 8th circle is divided into those 10 boges, and the 9th circle is divided into 4 parts.
So 2, 3, 4, 5 are the sins of the
Leopard.
leopard.
And that represents, what are those sins? Incontinence. That's right. Carter.
It says remember that there are 4 people reading the trial and know how that figure is derived.
Yeah.
Do you want, like, are we going to label something? Or do we just?
It's kind of what I'll put it on the board. I'll give you a little chart, all right? I hope I can do. Oh, by the way, these will be up after, but I've shown you this Paradise version. It's the pictures that I would, if I were you, we'll have time after the test Wednesday to take a look. The pictures are fascinating. They're really interesting. This was a book that I found somewhere, Young Inferno, and it goes through a condensed version of, and with pictures, of Dante's Inferno. And one of your seniors in Italy bought this, and this is called Dante for Fun, which is funny, but the pictures are really interesting. But it's a summary kind of for who. I don't think a kid would want to Anyway, you're welcome to look at it. You're not kids. But you could check that out. So I forgot the question. Oh, the 24, okay? I'm gonna use this right here. All right, so, one, two, there are 9 circles, right? The first 4 circles, we'll put those together. That's 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first circle being, limbo, yeah. And then 6, that's heresy. So you need to be able to identify the circles, like 9. 6, and then 7 has got 3 things. 8 has 10 things, and 9 has 4 things. Add it up. Add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 3 plus 10 plus 4.
Seven.
Did I do it right? How many does that?
7.
Don't add these. Add that.
144.
They're 23 or 24 there. Like add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 19, 20, 22, 23. So I'm missing a circle. I'm trying to figure out how we got to the 24. Yeah, that counts. You're right. The vestige. Because the question is not about rings. The question is about sin. So that's where you get the 24. You get 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 10 is 20, plus 4 is 24. Yes.
We will have to identify the 10 voters,
One more time.
Are we gonna have to identify the 10 voters?
No. Yes.
So, what should we know for Pierre de
Vignette.
Vignette?
Yeah, what about it?
I was just wondering what we should, what?
Yeah, what is he? The only one, he represents a unique person in hell. The only person in hell who is a tree. He's a tree.
I thought there were other trees.
Well, there are.
He's the only one that talked.
Yeah, it's the only one we studied. You're right. He's not the only person in hell that's a tree. It's just the only person that we know about.
And Farinata was the one in the heresy tombs?
Farinata and Cavalcante. Yeah. See, I think what you're doing is helpful. Where are these people? Group them. So it's a lot easier that way. Yeah.
Did Dante talk to the guy who jumped in the bush?
Good question. Let me check it out here. Let's see. Lano, their legs. Oh, Giacomo, it cried. What cried?
What about the 6?
Sold a state?
You know, yeah, it talks. The tree talks. The tree talks to Giacomo. And he does talk. So the tree, the bush, or the shrub talks to Giacomo. I've never really noticed that. That's how it was done. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yes, of course. Profligates means basically wasteful persons, wasteful people. And while we mean wasteful, they mean people that their sin is wasting away. Who's wasting themselves away.
So they went to the suicide one?
What?
The profligates went to the suicide ones?
Yeah, because they're doing harm to, not their body, but they're doing harm to their money and their property, because Giacomo and Lano were arsonists, they were vandals, and they were gamblers. So their life was just destroying things, wasting away, just a waste of time. Not constructively building things, but destroying things. Their own money through gambling, their own things, and other people's. Yeah.
So like on the Henry V test, when we had to write all the stuff about Shakespeare, are we gonna have a section like that? about
Yeah,
Dante's?
you do need, right at the bottom of the page, number 4. And that will be a short answer, give me a date, give me a name, give me a place.
So we shouldn't memorize the dates.
Yeah, the ones that are here, yeah.
Okay.
Notice there are 4 dates: birth, death, the story, the exile, and the publication. And those are just years, not months and years, just years.
Are we gonna have to write another thesis thing, or are we just gonna have short answers and essays?
I don't know, I can't remember if I'm gonna put it on here or not, but eventually you will, not Tuesday. Eventually, I think they're 2 short essays, like 5, 6, 7, 10 sentences, not one long one. Yeah,
So it says like the rope girdle
yeah, you can mark that out. That's,
and the Garon.
yeah, you can mark him out.
What a person, or is that just a term?
No, it's a term, but you do need to remember that. Remember, I think they were in the material, the hoarders and spendthrifts. You need to know, according to Dante, what is luck? What's behind luck? Yeah.
Everything that goes well that wasn't because of your own.
Yes, and it's ultimately, we know who makes every decision about what happens. God. It's not some nebulous, nameless force out there. May the force be with you. That's nonsense. Luck is a force, but there is no such thing. There's no such thing as luck. God determines. It looks like random to us. Why did this guy win the lottery? Well, that was mathematical chance. Eventually, somebody's name's got to come out of there. It just happened to be this guy. And he's happy about it. Why do some people get cancer and other people not? You say that's bad luck. But we know about the cancer because there was something in the body that. But there is no such thing as luck. We call it that just to save time. Yeah.
At the very end of number 4, it says Gilling, Gilfs, blacks, and whites. What is that?
Remember the
Political parties.
yes, the Guelphs were divided into 2 families that became parties. The white family, the Bianca family, the Blanc family. That means white in Italian, and so the other guys just say, all right, we'll choose black. Yeah.
What is Cal Rani?
He's the guy that's one of the heretics, and he was a father, and he was concerned about whether his son died. And Dante was kind to him and said, no, your son hadn't died. He had gotten the impression that his son had died. Carter.
Was Dante a Gilbling or a Gaul?
One more time.
Was Dante a Gilbling or a Gaul?
A Guelph, yeah. Florence was a Guelph city. Farinata was a Ghibelline. If something to say about it.
Are we gonna have to know what Dante was or no?
He's a Guelph. You should know that. Florence was a Guelph city. I think he was of the white party, but that's really less important.
You say Farinata was a Gilling?
Yeah. There's something we said we weren't gonna, remember what we did, you remember what we said wasn't gonna be on it? Panderers, seducers, and sorcerers. But there's something else I said.
You said, no rope girdle. and-
Right, where's, oh, I got it, okay, yeah, Gurion, right, you don't want Gurion, the rope girdle, that's an interesting story, you'll have to read it sometime.
Capanus.
He's the king who sinned against, he blasphemed God. Well, please study, this is your last test. So please, some of you need it badly, some of you don't need it, but I'm sure you'll do well. The ones who don't need it will do fine. The ones who need it, I don't know. So, study. Anybody in here can ace it. I'm gonna